potential match point between Team Freedom and Team 12. I am Dreadnought. With me is J-How, and J-How, last time these two teams played, we saw the same result, the opposite direction. It was 2 wins, in favor of Team Freedom, and the reverse sweep came in. Do you think Team Freedom has what it takes to get the reverse sweep here?
Do I have to answer honestly?
You don't have to.
Or hopefully.
You can, but I would like you to, actually.
I don't think so. I think Team 12 seems to be in the groove. I think Team Freedom can definitely take a game or two, and they could easily, they have it well within themselves to take it back. But what I've seen out of the first 2 games from Team 12 looks pretty dominant. They look like they're playing within themselves. They're not stretching themselves beyond their means, and they seem to be in control so far through the first 2.
I agree with you. There's one thing that it seems to kind of, be highlighted in these games, at least so far for Team 12, and it feels like that kind of, cutthroat mentality. Very much, you make the mistake even for half a second, they do not hesitate whatsoever. They get the punishment in, they get it there, and why they find themselves 2 games up over that of Team Freedom. But we're going to be figuring out where battlefield number 3 is. Battleground, I mean. Hopefully it's on Battlefield. It, in fact, is. I'm glad I, subliminally slipped that one in. I didn't even get to cheat, and I still got that one. But Battlefield of Eternity for Team 12. Normally, I'd be like, maybe, what can we see Team Freedom rely on? But to be honest with you, with the strengths we've already seen displayed out of Team 12, it very much feels like in the momentum on their side, this is going to be, kind of the nightcap, if you will.
Dread, they throw down on this map. They're 4-1. When we were talking right before this series started, it was like, what would be Team 12's map pick? And I'm like, BOE, man, all day, every day. They get it here in their 3rd game. And when it comes to this Battleground, we've seen some different styles. This is one where they ran a triple warrior, but then it's another one where we've seen the Lunara come out. And when we also look on the side of Team 12, we've got Dansky. I'm going to drop this for you. 7 games, averaging 5.1 kills a game. He is blasting people. So if that comes up in the later part of the draft, do not be surprised if he pops off.
And he's been doing so throughout this series. I would argue his play individually has been kind of, when I was talking about that cutthroat mentality. I know we get to see him on Gray Main, so like he's go for the throw, he's cutthroat. But seriously, if you look at how little hesitation he has, I would argue even so much so that his mentality of that little hesitation even got him killed in one of those situations where he goes, I'm going to lose it, but he's like, I might be able to get the trade up if I all in at this moment in time. Ended up getting him caught out, but it's more often than not, it seems very controlled and well calculated on his end. And very much why he has made a name for himself, coming one of the, more veteran players here in the North American scene. Team Freedom, though, going to kick off this draft. I'm expecting to see the, we get the Blaze. It's no surprise.
Games in a row now.
Then are we going to see the Medivh ban? Surprise. Then are we going to get the Maev? I've never seen this before.
My eyes are closed.
I really hope it's not, just to make me look like a dingus.
I really hope it is.
Dang it. Is it the Mouth Tracer from Team 12? Honestly, I would say if you're willing to do it on Dragonshire, might as well be willing to break it out here. I mean, the fact that it's not instantly locked indicates maybe that's not the case if the Blaze takeaway doesn't bring too much to light. Just mainly because if I pick Mouth Tracer on Dragonshire, and I don't get kills traditionally in the 1-4 in the way that I think I should, and I'm still as dominant as I would in the last game, I go, yeah, I'm going to take that on Battlefield, and I'm probably still going to kill it, right? But the fact that we're waiting this long, I don't feel like there's any, there is no mix-up, right, in the draft.
I think the reason might be because Genji's a little bit more prominent on this Battleground, and Genji does well. So you have Genji as deflect, Maev that has a vault every 9 seconds. So you have different ways of dealing with pulse bombs. I think that might have been the hesitation on Dragonshire. And Lutano's played a mean Genji. You can flex over a Yoda to a Tychus, and then all of a sudden, who's Tracer killing, right? It does make it harder. I think it's something to consider. We've seen kind of the evolution of drafts. When Malfurion and Tyrael save that Tracer or force out a Tracer ban in that 2nd ban phase, makes a lot more sense.
So we see with the Tyrael taken away, what do we expect here from Team Freedom on the front line?
Well, they don't have the Tyrael, and they've been heavily prioritizing
that's what I'm saying.
The Tyrael.
It's like we've seen them on Tyrael so much. Like I want to suggest. Like, I expect, Malfurion's taken away. That means Stukov has to be picked up, right, in this rotation from what we've seen so far here in North America. But then if you're going to make up for that because you lost the Tyrael, the Blaze ban out means it makes sense to be willing to prioritize maybe not your backliner here in this type of situation, especially because BOEs, you can flex out your backliner a little bit more than some of the other maps.
Zugrug has played a lot of Muradin comparatively towards other players in North America. I think the only other player in the Western region that kind of plays as much as JPL, and we've seen his take move towards Garrosh, who is available here. So there is some play, I think, for Garrosh. We haven't seen it out of him yet. We still get the Stukov. See if they do. They go ETC.
I like the ETC more than the Muradin. I'm glad that we kind of see him move in that direction, just because not only the accent to the objective itself, but generally speaking, it just Muradin's great whenever you get value out of your W, but like it feels like beyond that point and getting that kind of all in collapse with all the nerfs that have come in, you know, ripping pieces the original, you know, kind of avatar auto attack stun. Like he's just slowly seen so many changes that have gotten him to a point where he's kind of relying on more of a misplay of your opponent than making that play yourself.
Still got a lot of people out there in chat that were in favor, although that just shifted drastically from 45 to 55 to 70 to 30. We see the votes going up there. I think Team 12 definitely picking up momentum. Now, Sonya being hovered now, that would be a strong and intimidating front line if it does go over to Freedom. And the way that we've seen Freedom play, obviously that Maev isn't going over towards that front line of Nasmus. So we'll see, obviously, the change up there. One thing when you have to consider Nasmus, it always springs up on you when you least expect it, that diva play. It could always show up. I don't know if it would be here, but depending on your composition, you always have to at least consider it.
There's the Tracer ban you were talking about before, but doesn't that just lead to a snap Hanzo on the other side? Considering Battlefield of Eternity, Team 12 not maybe wanted to leave that available to the hero pool of Lutano for Team Freedom. Accents the map. To me, as long as I have a failsafe to make sure I can keep them alive, I've already got Tyrael on my side. Tyrael Hanzo, especially on maps like Dragonshire, where the laning situation really matters, the siege and anti-siege capabilities of them are astounding. But then beyond that, side lane focus. What do we see? With Blaze taken away, maybe a possible Dahaka. I can't help but feel like I would like to see a bit more kill potential. Also, I'm forgetting the Genji and the fact that he has actually made it through this draft.
It's really tricky because Team 12 has had multiple Tyrael players, including Cure himself.
Yeah.
So if weird comes to weirder, they might be able to go into Cure hops over to that Tyrael. We get the Genji, Hanzo, that answers that question. Although the last time that it did happen on BOE, when we saw kind of that weird, it was Goku on Genji, Cure on Tyrael, because they weren't quite sure. I think that's some of the things they were addressing after earlier in the year, but I imagine that should be Cure going back over to Genji. We'll find out soon.
I will say this is going to be a Genji without support other than having the Tyrael. And I just said, you know, when you have a Genji, you're going to want either a burst healer with him or somebody to get that invulnerability. I was talking about Hanzo having the failsafe, something to keep him alive, and that's the exact same two tools. Sanctification in no proper world should ever be hitting a Genji and hitting the Hanzo unless they're initiating and kind of diving and already in full retreat, right? So it's just one of those moments where one of those two is going to be vulnerable. So much so that I'm expecting to see maybe an X-Strike picked up, make sure Genji can keep himself alive a little bit longer if necessary. Granted, you know, Dragon Blade does pretty well into Stukov, not too good at dealing with that AoE burst. A Diablo Li Ming here from Team Freedom, and that suddenly makes that, you know, kind of squishy. Both of these are going to want a support, want a healer, you know, that much riskier. Not only giving resets, but Diablo does not only hesitate, but he just literally just can chunk you by yourself if you're one of those backliners, one of the strongest warriors at getting that damage output.
Genji has to be more careful about not what's in front of him, but what's behind him, because if Diablo sees any structure behind a Genji, he's going to get flipped and flopped, and you got a power slide, you've got the tether from Maev to deal with that, you've got the silence from Stukov, and if Li Ming can follow up on any number of those, that's a dead Genji. So we'll see. We need some more frontline protection here. Tyrael's not enough. They don't necessarily have that CC. You could go a safe route with something like Arthas to deal with that front line, slow things down. But I feel like we might get a change up here. That Tyrael could be a Goku pick, and maybe we'll get something a little bit different from Jesting.
The biggest thing you would want within that role, if it's going to be that secondary warrior, is either one that cripples all the melee and kind of death ball on the side of Freedom. I feel like Arthas does that best, and if not, a side laner who can be overly dominant. I don't feel like Dahaka does that. They go with a Muradin. I look at the Muradin and I kind of go, you know, I don't necessarily love it, but at this point in time, there's also very few that fill that I immediately look at and go, you know, I think it has that much more value. Other than maybe the Arthas, again, is that kind of one here for them in Team 12. But in the last game, I kind of pose the same question, right? If they go with the vulnerabilities within the backliner and the Hanzo and the way that they do, is it enough to at least get punished here against Team Freedom? The answer was clearly no, right? So I'm still going to, I go, ooh, the Murden, but I still go, probably Team 12, probably going to look very good. It's Battlefield of Eternity, and they're looking dominant.
Dominant indeed. So we'll see. I think the Murden pickup to me obviously is a little bit surprising given the circumstances, but if it's Maev, maybe you need to hop out. But if you're Team Freedom, we've seen them have trouble executing their compositions in terms of being the aggressor in some of these situations. I don't know if this necessarily solves the problems, but this is one heck of an aggressive composition when you talk about the ETC, Maev, and Diablo, by the way. So they should blow people up. They should be looking to do that probably early.
Yeah, they need these kills. They need to get the initiations, and a lot of it, that's going to be on the Zugrug there, that Diablo player here as we get into Battlefield of Eternity. The initiations out of him, making sure everybody's on point in position. Also, collusion probably there on the Stukov, making sure that that lurking arm is always able to get the follow-up after the initiation with the Shadow Charge and Overpower.
I really like the fact that we see Team 12 developing their own meta instead of trying to do too much. Cure is back on that Genji, and I think that they should be. If they want to develop for the long term, you have to work through some of the early struggles that you had and not be switching Goku over to a melee, switching Cure over to, or switching Goku to the range, switching Cure to the melee. I think this is much better for them long term. It could pay off. Obviously, they need one more game to close out this series. I think this is definitely playing within themselves, and this is the evolution, I think, that we're seeing from Team 12 when they acknowledge that they needed. There's a nice grab there.
Nice tether attempt. Justin unable to land with that Storm Bolt. Maybe could have been punished, but not going to be the case, at least not yet. Also, there's Volt in case things get a little bit wild here for the laning situation. Generally speaking, I expect this lane to honestly sit pretty much exactly how you saw it before. Probably a bit more passive unless Team Freedom is the team who's able to get initiations. But the poke from the Genji, from the Hanzo, be able to throw that out and get the clear. Lutano's trying to force these kind of initiations, but it's going to be pretty easy to hold off and just wait it out here.
Speaking of hold off and wait for it, boy, how exciting do you think that top lane is right now?
It's probably thriving.
Ethereal versus ETC.
Yep, the guitar versus the, hold up. Initiation attempt. Silence going to go thrown down on the point. Zugrug pushing back Justing. Lutano going to ring back Buds onto that lurking arm, but not enough to get a kill either way.
They meet each other in the middle of the battleground.
Yeah,
They're literally just like...
It's a wet noodle fight, man.
It's a tickle party. Come here, I'm going to get you. It's so... I don't know. There's not going to be a lot of action there, but there will be down here where you've got a Diablo ETC and a Li Ming, and obviously Yoda and Li Ming, we know what he can do.
For anybody wondering why does Battlefield of Eternity maybe kind of enforce this style of play, unless you have an easy, very clear initiation all in, even then you see it's pretty difficult with even the Diablo and Lutano there on the Maev, is honestly, it's distance to safety. Look how close this lane is at this point in time. It opens up drastically in the middle section, right? But there's no reason to really go out there other than to either, one, win a 1v1, or two, make the rotation and transitions elsewhere. And the distance between those two lanes is so long that if you somehow are gone that long on the map and you end up getting ganked on the other side, that's more of like a, yeah, that's my bad type deal.
I don't even want to. You're bringing back horrible nightmares for me if it's like, I don't know why you're there.
It happens sometimes. And then the Shamans, timed perfectly from both sides. A little bit of a time advantage maybe on the side of Team 12 and the fact it's going to hit later. I say that's an advantage in this case purely because neither team has global advantage, nor necessarily any clear to write home about. Maybe Team 12 has better clear, but being escorted in is going to be the Shamans on bottom here for Team Freedom. Not looking for any damage on the objective yet. Nice two-man tether, not going to net anything yet.
The one thing that I really saw develop as we saw more and more play against Stukov thanks to Zealots at the Western Clash was understanding that you can't just have the I'm coming straight at you compositions. And I think Genji, especially on this Battleground, as you said, the Dragon Blade, although Buds, speaking of susceptible, Buds getting dove upon, that's going to be first blood there. Justin, he's going to dwarf toss his way out. But the Genji flank factor on this Battleground will keep Collusion honest, I think, on that Stukov in terms of when he wants to put down those lurking arms. So we'll see how that plays out, but so far, the first kill going over to Freedom.
Yeah, Freedom getting that first kill has got to be a pretty big victory for them, but it didn't help them with the race. If anything, they're losing the race even still here. Justin trying to find a way out. Dewar tosses over the wall. And look at Cure even coming in, throwing out, I mean, what was that? A couple of rotations of Shuriken? That's them winning the race, even being down a member, and that is not good here for Team Freedom. You could say the slower this goes, the better for Freedom, because their comp does seem very dependent on hitting 10s, especially between the Maiev, ETC, Diablo. All of them kind of, you know, are waiting for the later stages, or even not their 10s, like with Diablo towards the 13 for his kill potential. Going to go ahead and initiate onto Cure. Halftime is already set here. Heavy defensive positioning as Yoda's getting that single split. Yoda is one of the best pokers when it comes to on the Immortal itself, but until he goes with 7, and even then we don't see that as the standard build, you don't really have that much damage unless you go into Seeker.
Speaking of 7, Hanzo desperately wants 7. Getting that cooldown reduction on auto attacks on his scattering arrow, that's where the race really comes in, although he does have incredible poke. He can bounce things off walls a little bit different than anybody else. Just like that, he does it. But now we've got the tether again, the charge into the wall. That's going to be Tyrael blowing up as Goku. He's trying to get some trait value, does, as he trades off onto Collusion.
Yeah, very good job there using the lurking arm and the tether to make sure they get in position and get a kill. Oh my buds. I cannot believe he kept himself alive there. The root after that last auto attack went down, barely got far enough away, and then throws out that moonfire to make sure he keeps himself alive through the W of Diablo. That was ridiculous. Damage race still going to be going over here to Team 12.
Next time I get away with something, I'm screaming out, oh my buds.
Oh
my buds.
Hold on to your buds, boys.
Team 12 with the first Immortal here. It will be pushing that bottom lane. Not a heavily shielded Immortal, but they are going to rotate their members down here. With this composition, obviously Hanzo doesn't have like really crazy clear, especially going into the scattering arrow build. Those don't exactly do much in the way of structure damage, so I don't think they're going to get a ton out of this drift.
Yeah, it is actually really curious. Major drastic difference between this Hanzo build and the rest is the race. It's pretty good, but when it comes to the siege capabilities, it definitely does kind of fall off there for Hanzo. Siege up after that front wall drops. Forward's going to fall, what is it, 50%? Looks like it's the damage done here. No kill attempt here for Freedom. But if you're Freedom, you just look at that and you're like, we just lost the first Punisher. Didn't necessarily, you know, get an over ridiculous amount of kills, and we're even inexperienced, didn't lose that much. You got to be happy with that. You know you're going to round 10s at even footing, as long as you don't make maybe a misstep here at this point in time, which you might have on top with Nasmus falling low on mana. Genji already burned all of his Shuriken.
Oh, I don't know if he had it or not.
I believe the Swift Strike opened on that gank there.
Okay.
So not going to have the tools. But, I mean, for real, it's just very, you know, exciting in the fact that they're going to find themselves on even footing at the 10s around the next objective. Now, with that in mind, it's very important that when we do see the APOC go down, that we see a kill happen. Sanctification is going to be a great deterrent to stop that out. Genji actually making the rotation down to maybe help out here with Team 12.
Very reminiscent about this time on Dragonshire, where they kind of overstepped a little bit. Obviously, composition's a little bit different, but you could see with Cure rotating down on that Genji, definitely a threat towards that. Both teams getting close to level 10. You can see Freedom already prepping their Shaman camp. See if they capture that now, although we did just get the timer, so we're about 25 seconds out.
Asmus thinking he was a sneaky snake there for a moment. Got revealed from the scouting arrow. 20 seconds out from this next Immortal phase. When it comes to camp timing, early pickup here for Freedom. They were looking to defend it, cutting off the choke. Cure, no, he sniffs it out there. Going to be able to back out. Zugrug not going for the slam against that wall there, where he earlier waited in that same exact shrub, got the kill onto Buds. A bit more focus here onto the Immortals themselves, actually invading the camp, trying to deny the Shamans, where Dansky fell very low there. Great rotation there for Freedom.
That still hasn't been capped. There we go. We got Justin going, and he's going to contest this. Was that a haymaker?
Yeah, it sure was. Sanctification goes down. Dragon Blade, Twilight Dream's going to lock down 2. Cure looking for the reset. Lutano uses the vault, throws out the shadow, and the follow-up is there. It's actually far enough
the
away.
Dragon Arrow!
And the Swift Strike in the follow-up. They end up getting reset 1, reset 2 there for Cure. But it looks like that is going to be the last one here for the team. Great job there with Dansky capitalizing with that Dragon Arrow.
Oh, just Zugrug has to make it out. I think he's sitting on 100 souls. He was. Now those are gone. Those are all for not Dread.
Never heard that one before. And
wait, what happened?
And so, can we just, like, how fast that fight just blew up, like, immediately in favor of Team 12. Once again, able to get that kite back. The playmaker, you know, kind of insane opportunity there coming out from.
I just wonder, was that the plan all along, or is that like, hey, we just hit level 10, we're fighting over this, let's.
I mean, I think the Haymaker was definitely going to be calculated in the fact that they are running that double warrior. It also, when I was concerned about any kind of form of peel, it does do a very good job of that. And Murden isn't necessarily the kill target in this type of composition. It also is really, really good against Stukov. If he ever, you know, throws down that lurking arm in a bad position, it's pretty much setting you up on a tee, clock you right into the opponents.
We're not playing big leagues. We're playing T-ball around here. Real man sport.
ETC has stage dive. He's going to use it here as Lutano trying to go on to Buds. They end up getting the knockback. Last right even attempt. Now that there is no mouth. I don't know why I thought that Warden's Cage symbol was in fact the last rights over his head, but they end up getting the kite out, getting one kill. Nice storm bolt there from Justin. Dragon Arrow ends up landing under the back line. Collusion. Cure not able to get the follow-up as fast as he would like. Haymaker is going to push back. Team 12 moving up here with a 5 versus 4 and still threatening off some of Freedom.
Nasmus had a sick face melt back into the APOC after that stage dive that locked in that kill. I mean, that was money. For somebody that doesn't play a lot of ETC, Nasmus, generally, he plays that secondary melee role, but not normally the ETC player, showing he's very proficient in being a top-tier player. That's why he's one of the best here in North America. They do kind of even things up a little bit, but both forts now down on the side of Team Freedom.
With that advantage in some of the siege and the capabilities that we've seen from Team 12 already here, with that much territory to kind of play around in the map, I expect things to get a little bit more difficult here for Freedom, but the experience still at least close enough that they've got to be thankful. Zugrug sees the flank here. Nice anchoring. Might cost him his life, though, as that was a beautiful, massive shove. That was actually, for anybody wondering, why was that massive shove, you know, kind of at that point in time, and what was Justin doing? That's the Haymaker. He was looking to get the split onto Diablo, massive shove, pulling it away, knowing that that is the all-in attempt there. Very clean here from Collusion. ETC even scouting this rotation. Should be fine to keep himself alive.
Team 12 has their sights set on this top camp, and with Hanzo in tow, will take just a few seconds as the scattering arrow ripping apart the health bars. So I think right now, Dredd, it's pretty even in terms of experience. We have the Shaman Camp still available for Team Freedom. Cooldown timer on the side. My mouth's disappeared. 30 seconds away still on the side of Team 12. So depending on how this stalls out, we'll see if Team 12 does make that rotation over because they have that Hanzo. You can always split him off, use a 4-man defense elsewhere. So we'll see how Team 12 wants to approach that. But Team Freedom, obviously with theirs available, they're going to go ahead and pick it up.
Their posture, and they want to get very aggressive over this time frame. I like to see that from them. Even maybe look for that collapse as you see 8 seconds out from the Shaman Camp spawning here on the side of Team 12. Defensive positioning for Lutano. Tyrael looking to get the clear down below. It's going to be free ridding of the Shaman. Team Freedom, what do they do with this information? Looks like they go up, look to get a bit of damage there with Yoda.
He's going to use the stomp. He's sniffing this out. This is similar to right there, and they're going in for the invade. Zugrug team, they want this. They have APOC. They have all of their heroics available. So Zugrug team coming over for that invade, baiting it out. See if they get another fight. Stage dive's going to be here. Cure gets dove upon. APOC goes out. The camp has been stolen. Maybe we got a fight breaking out now, though, Dredd.
Yeah, and they're looking to get the punishment. Dragon Arrow comes in there, hits 4. Warden's Cage is looking to deter any more advance. It's going to stop number 1. Sanctification comes in a little bit late, but now look at Cure, looking for that reset. Switch Strike went in. Justin hits the Storm Bolt. Power Slide going to pull them back a little bit more. Freedom falling so very low. The smite from Goku trying to speed up Team 12. Cure finds himself one more. And that was a great fight there for Team 12. Very well done. That Dragon Arrow initiation again from Dansky. Every time, Team Freedom looks like they've got an opportunity.
All right, that time, the first time he hit a couple, that time he hit 4. If he doesn't hit 5 next time, I might be disappointed.
I just want to say that Team 12's control. Hold up here. They find Nasmus. Power Slide comes in. Nice lurking arm is actually going to stop the advance, and Zugrug getting the Shadow Charge in. A lot of damage here for Team 12. What I was going to say is the bait around that. They wanted that invade. They wanted the members of Team Freedom to think that they were going to contest that. There was no Murden Dwarf toss over the wall. There was no interest shown whatsoever. All they did was waited for the APOC, and Lehman goes, thanks, teleports away, and they go, all right, now it's our time to fight. Dansky comes in with a huge Dragon Arrow. Team 12 predicted that transition out of Freedom and just goes, you do the same thing twice, we are just going to keep capitalizing. It is impressive here for Team 12.
They have to eat a lot of scattering arrows, does Team Freedom, because you could see Dansky, he's using some simple geometry, Dread. He's bouncing it off the walls, getting that. And in this situation, Hanzo is one of the few heroes that has superior poke to Li Ming. It's just a matter of finding that positioning, finding that range. Obviously, if Dansky can find that, see the positioning, him on the right side of the map, he's got to be careful because that lurking Diablo there of Zugrug.
ETC is getting the anchor of Maev as Goku, or excuse me, not Goku, but Genji made the transition down below. Be able to deal with that. Zugrug's looking to move up, capitalize on Goku, possibly out of position. Eldruin's follow a massive shove, pushing away Justin. Stage dive comes in. There's going to be a solo party here for him. Power slide on top of the objective, knockback. Not going to gain anything here for 12, but they want more. Follow up from the Eldruins for Goku.
And that little bit of step back that they can afford allows Dansky to get off the scattering arrow. Every time he gets the auto attacks in, that reduces the cooldown. And it might not seem like much, but as this goes on, that is a significant amount of poke. Right there, you can see it was a little bit off, but we got the flip onto Justin. He's got the lurking arm. He's rooted. The wave of force knocks him back, but we see on the front side in the Warden's cage, there is chaos a pound, Dread.
Yeah, but that Twilight Dream was enough to buy a lot of time there. Haymaker's going to send Nazmus back. Power Slide comes in, locking in under the stun. Goku's able to dodge it. Lutano looking for that tether, but the shielding from Goku, the healing from Buds, it's actually not enough as Yoda goes in, gets that Calamity damage, gets himself one reset. Justin, though, trying to capitalize on the no mana. Massive shove from Collusion ends up allowing him to survive 2 for 2 on what looked like insanely lopsided initiation in the starting side of Team Freedom with that Warden's Cage hitting 3 with the APOC, hitting all 3 of them. No sanctification through the entirety of that skirmish. Still, Team 12 held out.
The fact that Murden lived to start and then they didn't get the follow-up on the other part, that's got to be a little bit disheartening, I think, if you're Team Freedom. They are so close to getting some of these kills, so close to taking some of these initiations, they just haven't panned out. You can see Team 12 sat on that final 300-plus damage on the Immortal, waiting for the respawn of the rest of the team. So now they have an incredibly healthy Immortal. Lutano getting the charge in. You can see the ice block from Buds. Lutano is deep. The Dragon Arrow again is going to land. They're looking for more, but the Sanctification looks like a defensive positioning, but Nazmus trying to make his way out. Don't think he's going to make it.
Yeah, Warden's Cage is used, but it's not enough to pull anybody too far back there. Goku ends up breaking the next wall. Kira's going to get the follow-up here. Everybody's low, resets. When do they come in? Kira unable to find it with that Swift Strike. Maybe they're on Zugrug. Collusion ends up using the massive shove, but at this point, it is just minimizing the losses for his team, realizing somebody's got to go down. We have 30 seconds until we're going to have at least 2 of the members there of Team Freedom alive. And even then, that seems too far out of the window as this Immortal now through this gate front wall here, then already sitting above 50% shielding.
This might be it.
That might be it. Nobody on the side of Team Freedom can go down here.
Team Freedom holding on. The defense is here. The Immortal has made its way through the keep. Justin and team of Team 12 goes forward. The Twilight Dream gets the lockdown. Yoda's going to be next. And that is Team Freedom going down, and Team 12 flexing their muscles a bit here, Dread, as they are closing this series out. They're looking for a few more kills. You hear that bowling pin, but that is just Nazmus taking the exit stage right. As 13 kills to 5 are going to be the final count here. Game number 3.
Dominant 3-0 here for Team 12 over Team Freedom. Last time we saw these teams play, we saw it went still in favor of Team 12, but the fact that, it was first 2 games over to Freedom, then, the reverse sweep coming in, it was a very different case here, very dominant games from Team 12. And, pleasantly so, I feel like, because we saw the games out of Team Freedom yesterday, and it was like, oh, you can see the play, underperforming at the Western Clash. Is it going to be the same thing coming out? And I would say it felt like on par, and that normally is not necessarily, a compliment in that manner when you see your remaining parallel here. But Team 12 coming out after the Western Clash and just really showing they have what it takes.
They had to. I think this is a statement game for them coming into the second part because they didn't perform bad, but they didn't perform extremely well at the Western Clash. And, you know, obviously they came in as the second seed. They played well, but I think by their own standards, they had higher expectations in the earlier part. I know this team coming together, obviously playing, going to Gold Club, things like that. They've talked about some of the issues. They've tried to address a lot of the issues. And I think coming out here, defeating a top 3 team to start off is definitely a confidence booster and a statement to start this second part.
Yeah, it was. It just, I mean, everything about it right now at this point in time, they've got to be going to feeling on top of the world. Granted, we're still yet to, you know, see all of North America play, as we still have Tempo Storm showing itself, you know, looking for more. We also have Gale Force Esports, but, you know, out of our kind of Western Clash Titans that we've seen other than Tempo right now, Team 12 looks hands down, you know, I'm going to put them as second, and again, just purely because of the Tempo Storm question mark left lingering.
Well, they'll be able to answer that question soon. But again, Team 12 obviously coming in. If you're Team Freedom, you went 1-1 this weekend. You took down Simplicity. You were expected to if you were looking at that on paper. Team 12 obviously was a tough matchup for them. Obviously lost the first series in that reverse sweep. Coming here, again, I think a lot of their issues, Dredd, I don't know if it's necessarily drafting. It seems like they're obviously trying to experiment, but it really comes down to team fighting. And with the gameplay changes, you have to have some element of that to fall back on. Maybe your go-to, your bread and butter, something, because it seems like every game they're trying something a little bit different, trying to find that magic formula. I don't think they're finding it yet. They have the draft, they have the players, they have the tools that we saw in the earlier part of the year to do that. And again, a lot of it's around Lutano, a lot of it's around Yoda. I think if they can just complement those back to control the front line, maybe that's something they can go around, because it just seems like there's a mixed bag a lot of times with their drafts.
Yeah, with Team Freedom, you know, and talking about controlling the front line, we have the front line they were looking to control here with Justing on the line. Justing, very dominant games coming out from you guys over Team Freedom. Got to ask, you know, thoughts, how do you feel about it?
I mean, we feel pretty good. I guess we weren't entirely sure how we were going to do coming into it today because we've had a shaky couple of days going into it, but we really pulled it together for the match, and I'm pretty happy with how my team played today, so pretty good.
When it comes to kind of maybe some of that shakiness, do you feel like it's completely gone at this point in time? Like, is that enough games, I guess, to instill that confidence within yourselves, or do you feel like, you know, it's just a good sign in that, you know, still some kind of room for improvement?
I think it's a good sign. We definitely have room to improve for sure. I think that my team stepped up today during the tournament, or the HGC match, like an actual important tournament game. So that's really, really good to see. I think we have a lot of things to improve on in practice, and this week is going to make us work a lot harder for next week and for our harder matches, which I guess is mostly Tempo Storm, and that should be mostly it, I suppose. So it's a pretty good start.
So you're saying the only team in North America that you even kind of fear is Tempo Storm?
Yeah.
Feels good, man. That's some confidence there. You know, I'm going to send you over to J-How here.
Justin, you and I talked in the earlier part of the year about the long-term plan, whether it was drafting, changes to your style of play. Do you feel you're on the right path now?
Yeah, I definitely think we are. I think everyone is kind of seeing things that they wouldn't have seen a couple months ago, like individual plays that people can make, and people are calling things that we otherwise wouldn't have noticed, because if I'm trying to call everything, I can't see everything that's on the map. So everyone's stepping up and calling a lot more, which when we're doing well, it will mean that we can play a lot better. And if we're doing badly, then it'll be worse. But we played well today, so it showed.
It definitely showed. You guys also have had a little bit of kind of varied roles. Does it seem like you guys have settled into the roles? Everything's defined from here on out. Was that part of the process as well as the communication?
Yeah, I definitely think that's something that we changed, and it's going to definitely help a lot. Goku is really dominant in the solo lane, so we're making sure that he stays there. Today, we played Maev, right, with Kira on it, which is the change, I'm pretty sure. So stuff like that, it definitely helps just make so that every game, everyone's playing a more static role. They're not changing things up too much, and that's part of the things we're changing, and it's working out.
Speaking of something that isn't static, that was Murden's heroic of choice. We got a haymaker today, man. Was that something that was just a situational pick on that camp, or was that kind of calculated because you had the Tyrael up there?
I think I probably thought deep down that I shouldn't take it, that I should go Avatar, because their comp could kill me really easily. But I also, you know, wanted to have a little fun, so
well,
I don't know.
It was fun for everybody to watch, man. Congratulations on the victory today.
Having a
Thanks.
little bit of fun there, just things, you know. And now I got to ask, you know, changing the scope over to your next matchup, Gale Force Esports. I know you displayed confidence. You only fear, you know, maybe Tempo Storm within the region, but I got to hear your thoughts. You know, any kind of threat whatsoever, or it's just another 3-0?
I think it should be a 3-0, but they're a very weird team. Some days in practice, they'll just come out doing the most crazy things you've ever seen and just do really crazy stuff, and some days they'll look like they don't know what's going on. So I guess it'll depend what Gale Force shows up, but it should be a 3-0 for us.
All right, appreciate the confidence there. And, you know, now the floor is yours. Any shout-outs to fans, you know, anybody at home?
Just shout-outs to all the fans for supporting us. Shout-outs to Twitch chat. Thanks to my team for stepping it up today, and our analyst, Milk and Cookies. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much, Justin. As
Apparently we're doing this wrong.
What has got you going here, young man?
Nothing.
Okay. I'm very confused at this point in time. So, you know, I don't even know. Hello? What happened to you?
Nothing. Just keep.
All right. Well, you know, I'm just waiting until apparently, you know what? It is prepared. We are done here with Team Freedom versus Team 12, but we are not done with North America. Stick with us after this commercial break. More HGC NA. Has got to be